Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Charine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai सर्व विघ्न विनाशक भक्तवत्सल नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय 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 श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंदा मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगैते गिरिं पातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्री चैतन्य. So we'll begin with today's verse, chapter 2, verse number 68, isn't it?
Yes, Guru.
Yes. So I will read the verse. Can you all repeat along with me?
I have a request.
Yes.
This is Abhijit.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you are live on YouTube right now.
Yes, Abhijit, how are you?
So.
Okay.
And if you need to talk to me, then please put it on the chat window, or one of the devotees can put it on the chat window, because I will be disconnecting from the audio. I can't hear you then.
No. Is there any instruction for me, or I continue as usual?
You continue as usual. If any one of you want to communicate with me or anyone else, please put it on the chat window, because I am not listening to what is being said. I'll disconnect the computer audio because I have another line going on in parallel right now. So you continue.
Okay,
as
so you'll hear through the YouTube, is it?
I'll hear through YouTube, yes.
Okay, fine. So is it clear to everybody? You cannot talk. You put whatever you want to say, you put it on the chat box. I'm the only one who's authorized to talk.
To me, Prabhuji, to me, I am not. You can all talk amongst yourself. I cannot hear you. That's it.
You're saying we can talk amongst ourselves, but you cannot hear.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. Everybody can. All right, so we go ahead with verse number 68. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
I will chant line by line. Kindly repeat. Tasmad yasya mahabaho.
Tasmad yasya mahabaho.
Tasmad yasya mahabaho.
Tasmad yasya mahabaho.
When I chant a particular line, kindly repeat after I chant the line. Nigritani sarvasaha.
Nigritani sarvasaha.
Nigritani sarvasaha.
Nigritani sarvasaha.
Indriyani indriyarthebhyas.
Indriyani indriyarthebhyas. Indriyani indriyarthebhyas.
Satya prajna pratishtitha.
Tasya prajna pratishtita.
Tasya prajna pratishtitha.
Tasya prajna pratishtita.
Okay, can somebody read the translation loudly and clearly? Can one of you read the translation?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence.
Yes. Somebody can read the purport. Somebody
Yes,
else can
Prabhuji.
read the purport.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read it.
Please do it.
Yes. One can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness, or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed not by any other human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in the service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness is one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, is called sadhaka, or a suitable candidate for liberation.
Yeah. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatpatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya. Okay. Krishna is speaking and he's saying, therefore, oh, mighty armed Arjuna, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. So please understand that this is an instruction that is applicable to all people who wish to pursue spiritual life, or all people who want to pursue with responsibility, even any material activity. Even any material activity, one requires a sense of discipline and a sense of self-control and discipline. Otherwise, even materially, that person, if he is likely to be distracted very easily, that means he doesn't have focus, either by any disturbance that happens in his environment, someone coming in, someone going out, anything that disturbs one of his senses, hears some music, or I mean, if he's willing to give up his main task and become distracted because one of his senses is disturbed, or one of his senses has got what is known as a stimuli. Now, how dependable can such a person be? So, even materially speaking, when you take up a task, it is expected that you become responsible, you become mature, you're focused, and until your task and responsibility is over, you don't become distracted by anything. Some two neighbors are fighting, he will run and go and want to see because he has heard something. Or hears something else happening on the street, and then he goes, runs and wants to see and wants to understand, or something like that. So, or he sees something interesting, then he drops his work and wants to pursue that. He sees somebody eating somewhere, then he wants to go, because see, tongue, different senses may be disturbed in this material world. And every time your senses are disturbed, you cannot drop the work that you're doing and go run behind that person or run behind that. So now this is true spirituality also, in material world. So somebody who wants to be an achiever has to be careful, has to have focus, has to have discipline, has to have regulated life, and has to know how to control his senses. Now, if someone is training to be a good sportsman, they have to learn how to control their tongue, and not just eat everything that comes their way, but the regulated time, regulated quantity, regulated. Now, this is true for sick people also. Somebody has diabetes and he sees a jamun or a jalebi, He cannot resist, he won't eat. So what do you call such people? We call such people as being very irresponsible, no self-regulation, no self-control. He comes under the category of people who lack sense control. The doctor will come and say, you're having high blood pressure, you can't eat salty items, deep fried items, oily items. But because he has weakness for oily items or something, the moment he sees something, he grabs and he eats. What do you call such people? We refer to such people as being very weak-minded, very weak-minded. Now, by being weak-minded, we can actually hurt ourselves also. Like I gave you the example of someone who's having diabetes or hypertension or blood pressure or general sickness. The first thing that happens is some dietary restrictions are given. But if, let's say, the person is not able to follow them because he gets tempted and he gets carried away. And also, this applies in every field, not just food, eating, hearing. Some two people are talking, he wants to go and participate. So this shows a weak personality, weak character, weak determination. So Krishna is saying that someone who lacks sense control, or someone whose senses are not restrained, is not from their he certainly someone whose senses are restrained and controlled, he can be called a person with steady intelligence. Krishna is saying that. Someone who's focused on following the instructions given by a doctor or your coach or your mentor or your teacher, he can be considered a person of steady intelligence. Or in other words, he can be considered as a dependable person. This might be, India has won this match, IPL match against some country, and he also wants to go and celebrate. So he has no control. He's not a person with steady intelligence. He's not a dependable person because he can be distracted from his main objectives and from his main goals. So here, purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, it's easy to comment like this, but it's very difficult to bring all your senses under control, especially the sense of touch, sense of taste, sense what you say, the sense of sight. All these senses are very difficult to control. Like they say in English, it's easier said than done. But nevertheless, Srila Prabhupada is offering us a hope. He's saying that person who can engage these senses, as the enemies are curbed by a superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed, not by human endeavor, but by keeping them engaged in the service of Sri Krishna. So when the senses are engaged in hearing and serving and in the service of Sri Krishna, automatically the senses become controlled because Krishna is more powerful than our senses. So when we agree to do some service and we are focused on it, our senses tend to get controlled. Prabhupada explains that that's probably the best and the only real successful way in which we can control our senses, offer our senses in the service of Krishna, which means try to do activities which are pleasing to Krishna or serving Krishna one way or other, singing, reading about him, singing song, or singing some kirtan, participating in a kirtan, doing something or other for him with all your senses, and also thinking about him. So by doing this, a person becomes self-regulated and disciplined. And then it is possible to apply this regulation and discipline even in ordinary day-to-day material activities also. But if one does not have the advantage of offering the senses in Krishna's service, then there's very little chance that he'll be able to control his senses on his own. Clearly, Prabhupada says by human endeavor, that's not going to happen. So bhakti, that is offering your senses in the service of Sri Krishna, not only helps us to benefit from getting blessings from Krishna, but also helps us to become more regulated and disciplined and gain some control over one's senses. And that's when he can be called as a man of steady intelligence. So quite really speaking, our ability to manage our senses, control our senses, and get the senses to do what we want them to do comes from bhakti, by engaging them, initially by engaging them in Krishna service. But Krishna service is so attractive that we will feel like doing more and more of it all the time. It's not that we will perform Krishna service and as soon as we achieve control of ourselves, we stop doing service of Krishna. It never happens like that. Because Krishna's service is so sweet, so attractive, and so satisfying to the soul, the body, and the senses that we'll never feel like stopping. We won't feel like stopping. Initially, we have difficulty in convincing people to chant one round. But if they start chanting one round of the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, 108 times, they have great difficulty. They say, what is repeating the same mantra? But then this mantra is so sweet and powerful that slowly you will begin to gain a taste for it. You will begin to like it, and finally, without anybody having to wake you up every day or tell you, on your own, you'll pick up your beads and then chant 16 rounds. Some chant more japa than 16 rounds, because there's some sweetness in Krishna. Krishna's name is sweet. Krishna's service is sweet. Krishna's prasadam is very, shall I say, satisfying. Remembering Krishna is also so purifying. So a person becomes a better person when he's engaged in devotional life and spiritual activities, and automatically he develops some control over his senses. He becomes a man of steady intelligence, dependable, trustworthy, uh, mature, wise. All these qualities we can start seeing in such a person. So the starting point is offering your senses in Krishna's service. And the best way to start that also is to first chant the names of Krishna. Is to first start chanting the names of Krishna. So when you start chanting the names of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra, that's the first step of bhakti. Now, even chanting the names of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra, recommend that we chant a specific number every day. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibihi. We chant a specific number every day. It may be 108 or multiples of 108. Sometimes people come and tell me, no, whenever I'm free, I chant. I practically chant the whole day. Then I ask them, how many times do you chant? How many rounds? They say, no, I don't count. So it doesn't quite work out so well if you don't count. Because there has to be discipline even in japa. Sankhya Purvaka. Japa means chanting a specific number every day. So even in bhakti, there has to be discipline. So even in bhakti, there is discipline, and slowly that discipline will be reflected in everything we do. And we get control over our senses, and we become people of steady intelligence, which is impossible to achieve through other means. We can't control our senses on our own. It is not possible. Daivayesha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. Krishna says you cannot control even your senses. For example, the next 5 minutes, can you tell what all topics will come into your mind? We don't know. We really don't know, because mind cannot be controlled. We don't know. Okay, when you see somebody or something, in what way your mind will react. So even that we have no complete control over it. So on our own, we cannot take charge of our senses. We need Krishna's help. We get Krishna's help when we are doing some devotional service. Hare Krishna. I don't know why we got disconnected. We have no control over our senses, nor do we have control over Android phones. They disconnect, they throw you out anytime they want. So here it is mentioned. Krishna uses one very important, Prabhupada explains in a very important way. We get control over senses only through bhakti, only by the help of Krishna. And we get help of Krishna by chanting Krishna's holy name, Hare Krishna mantra. Otherwise, our senses can be considered as our enemies, not as our friends. So one has to be very careful about wanting to control the senses. And the best way, the only way, is by engaging them in the service of Krishna. And engaging in the service of Krishna begins by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Okay? So we'll stop here. And I want to take any questions before we go to the next verse. On verse number 68, any questions, any doubts, any clarifications? Okay, so let me ask you some questions then. So what is, according to Krishna, what is the best way to control one's senses? How do we get control over one's senses? Anybody can answer.
Serving God, by serving the Lord.
Yes, by engaging the senses in the service of God. Now, a person who's able to control his senses, in the shloka, how is Krishna describing him? He's a man of, somebody who's able to control the senses. What does Krishna say? He's a man of
Steady intelligence.
Very nice. He's a man of steady intelligence. Now, when we are not able to control the senses can be considered to be our enemies. Senses can be considered to be as our enemies. So what do we mean by saying controlling our senses? What do we mean by it?
Start chanting.
We don't get distracted by ours.
That's very nice. Correct. Then
We focus in the service of Krishna.
very nice. And
We become masters of our intelligence.
pardon me?
We become the masters of our senses.
Oh yeah, nicely said. We become the masters of our senses, not the slaves. See, control over senses actually means the senses will cooperate with me and they will do what I want them to do, and not the other way around. Not that I will do what my senses demand. Like I see something tasty, let us say somebody has diabetes and he sees some sweets, but the senses are demanding, oh, I like sweets, come on, eat them. But the mind is saying, it's not good for you. It's very risky for your health. But because you have no control over your senses, your intelligence is overtaken and you'll end up eating the sweets, which is very harmful for you. So you will end up doing things which are actually harmful for you. So once again, what's the best way to achieve control over senses? Can we do it on our own?
No,
by a bona fide master, through bona fide master only we can do it.
By what is that? Can you repeat, Mataji?
Through bona fide master only we can do it.
Yeah,
In the guidance.
Master and utilizing our senses in the service of Krishna. Can do that. Thank you very much. That was smart questions, smart answers. Shall we go to verse number 69? Does anybody have any question? Verse number 68?
No problem.
Okay, we'll go to verse number 69. I'll chant the verse. Please repeat after me. Yanisha sarva bhutanam.
Yanisha sarva bhutanam.
Yanisha sarva bhutanam.
Yanisha sarva bhutanam.
Tasyam jagarti samyami.
Tasyam Jagrati Samyami.
Yami.
Tasyam Jagrati Samyami.
Tasyam Jagrati Samyami.
Yami.
Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani.
Yasyam
Jagrati
Bhutani.
Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani.
Yasyam
Jagrati
Bhutani.
Bhutane.
Tanisha Pashyato
Sa nisa
Tanisha
muna.
Tanisha Pashyato Mune.
Sa pasyato muni.
Hey, can somebody read the translation?
What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective stage.
Is night for the introspective stage. Yes, very good. Can someone read the purport for me?
There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligence in material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to the cultivation and self-realization. Activities of the introspective stage or thoughtful man are night for persons materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective stage remains alert in the night of the materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in materialistic activities, being asleep to self-realization, dreams of varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in a sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities undisturbed by material reactions.
Okay, verse number 69. Let me repeat the translation again. Kindly hear me attentively. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control. And the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective sage. So there is some kind of a reversal of time. When the sage is awake, the materialistic person generally sleeps at that time. And when the materialistic person is awake, the sage generally sleeps. But of course, here the word sleep can be understood metaphorically. Metaphorically means it is symbolic word. Sleeping means switching off the system. I can't think of a better word. Sleeping really means switching it off, switching off the system. In other words, no activity. No significant activity. When we sleep, there's no significant activity except that our digestion is happening. We are breathing, our heart body is working. And the other thing that's happening is we are slowly and steadily growing older. When we sleep, we're just becoming older. We are passing our time and getting older. Okay. Now, awake means performing activity. Sleep means no activity, system switched off. So now it is said that when the sage is very active, the materialistic person normally switches off. I've seen that happen sometimes. People come to the temple, we give a class. People like you, all of you who are in hearing, you're all like sages. You're all like intelligent people. You're hearing attentively. You're trying to learn. You're trying to learn from Krishna. What is Krishna saying? He's my friend. He's my well-wisher. He is my protector. He's my real father. Let me hear every single word that Krishna is speaking attentively, respectfully, and let me see how I can save myself from the clutches of karma or miseries of the material world. But I see that sometimes the non-devotee class of people come. They kind of, the moment they come and some pravachan, something is happening, they kind of switch off. Just switch off. For them, this is, they even go to the extent of saying, what's the use of all this? We should be busy working, earning money. Something, their whole thought process is quite different. But but the devotees of the Lord know that happiness, peace, success, everything comes from Krishna. Krishna is the source, not just your hard work. You can work hard like a donkey does, but does the donkey get anything significant? No. But you can work hard intelligently according to instructions of Krishna. Then so many amazing, miraculous things tend to happen in one's life according to instruction of Krishna. So there is a contrast where a devotee is very alert. Krishna is speaking, Guru is speaking, Prabhupada is speaking, say some great sage like Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami, Vashishta are speaking. So everybody hears very attentively, because these words transform life. These words become the inspiration for change. Actually become the inspiration to become more close, more dear, and more attached to Krishna and Krishna's instructions. So a sage is alert. But at the same time, the non-devotee class of people who don't have faith, they switch off. They completely switch off. Unfortunately, because they don't seem to understand, or they've not yet developed the faith in the words of Krishna. Now, the opposite is, when these materialistic people gather together, they're either discussing politics or the share market or the cricket or film stars, or somebody's movie was released, or some gossip about politics or something like that. But then you will realize that that is the time when the devotee class of people switch off. They just switch off. They'll say, I mean, those activities will go on as per kala. Kala means time, and as per karma, as per destiny of the world, etc. But here is an opportunity. Human birth, human form of life is an opportunity to learn more about Krishna, to learn more about dharma, to associate with devotees of the Lord, and like someone said, a bona fide guru or representative. So the human form of life is meant for pursuing that, awakening our knowledge and performing bhakti, not utilizing our intelligence, etc., to discuss about gossip about politics or film stars, or who's running behind whom now, who's boyfriend or girlfriend, or sports or cricket or this or that. So what do we gain from all that? Really, hardly. I mean, practically nothing. So that's, so compared to that, when one engages in activities connected with Krishna, there is awakening of the soul. There is, you're walking towards becoming free from karma, the burden of karma. You're becoming, what is the right word? You're actually becoming free from the burden of karma and miseries. Your knowledge level is and your attraction for Krishna and your bhakti's interest increasing, and your faith in Krishna and Krishna's instructions are increasing, and the inspiration to follow Krishna's instructions are increasing. A karmi will come here and switch off. A yogi or a devotee will go there and switch off. So these two worlds are different. They don't tend to meet. So devotees like devotees association, and karmis like, materialistic people like association of other materialistic people. So here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that in the purport he's saying that introspective sage. Introspective means a sage is a person. Introspective means somebody who's thinking carefully. Introspection means thinking, analyzing what's happening. But we don't do this thinking or analyzing on our own. We always do analysis and thinking based on Krishna's instructions, based on the words of Krishna. Because Krishna is all perfect. Krishna is our well-wisher. Krishna speaks the truth. Whatever he speaks is the truth. And by the way, because Krishna is a controller of the material world. Krishna is the real controller of the material world. So because of that, a devotee is always thinking carefully in terms of what is the instruction of Krishna. Now, this becomes the habit of a devotee. In any situation, he's always asking this question: what has Krishna instructed? What would please Krishna? What would be the right thing to do according to Krishna's instruction? But a materialistic person, Krishna doesn't exist in his consciousness. He's simply driven by his senses, by his weakness, by his anger or lust or greed or jealousy. all his decision making is based on that, and that will further make his life more and more complicated. That's like a chakra vyuha. It's like getting caught in the spider's web. The more you try to escape, more entangled you become. But whereas the other person, because he's acting according to the instructions of Krishna, and he's very careful, he's introspecting, thinking deeply, verifying with Krishna's instructions, he becomes more and more liberated, more and more free from miseries and karma in this material world. So you tell me, which is better? To be awake while Krishna is speaking, or to sleep when Krishna and his representative are speaking? Which is better? You tell me.
Awaken.
Awaken.
To be focused, attentive, to be sincere, and to be sincerely hearing when Krishna is speaking. Is that better? Or to be very, very focused on what some materialistic people are speaking about, film stars or this or that, or gossip? Which is better? What helps you more?
Focusing on Krishna.
Speaking about the Krishna.
Yes, every word that Krishna speaks is a jewel, is like a diamond. We can't attach a value for any instruction that Krishna gives. Every word can potentially transform our life, release us from misery, and protect us. Every word. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Aikya. The word spoken by Krishna or his representative, each word is so beneficial to whole mankind. Beneficial to whole mankind. Prabhupada explains that when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, he spoke it in such a loud manner, and not just Arjuna, but practically everybody on the battlefield could hear what Krishna was saying. So Prabhupada explains that this means that these instructions aren't meant only for Arjuna, but everybody in the material world. Everybody in the material world. We were not there at that point of time. Maybe we were there, but we can't remember. Krishna says that we were probably there. Definitely we were existing in some form or other. But because we missed out and we didn't hear attentively, the same instructions that Krishna gave Arjuna are coming back into our life in the form of Bhagavad Gita, in the form of this book. The same instructions that Krishna gave Arjuna are coming back into our life, because then maybe we got chance many times in the past, but we didn't take it seriously and attentively. We didn't take it sufficiently attentively. So those instructions are coming back, and this time Krishna is hoping maybe this time you will take it seriously and you will be awake, wide awake, and listen carefully. And then switch off from non-devotee or anything. Actually, there's one golden rule. Anything not connected with Krishna or his service or his instruction, generally switch off. Don't worry, you can switch off. It's not going to make a difference for you. Anything connected with Krishna, Krishna's instructions, Krishna's devotees, Krishna's devotion to Krishna, how to please Krishna, how to follow Krishna's instructions, be very alert and take every word seriously. Be very alert, be awake. And the other place you can switch off, go to sleep, doze off, or whatever. Switch off. Switch off means stop paying attention. Something they're talking, don't worry. It's like, sometimes we see in the night, dogs are barking at each other. God knows what they're telling each other, but nobody pays attention. So sound of that nature, nobody pays attention. Like that, there are many sounds in this material world which keep coming. So the instruction is pay attention, complete attention to what Krishna is saying, what Krishna is instructing, and try to understand. Introspect means think carefully and try to see how we can apply in our life. Then our life becomes blissful. Okay? All right. So we'll stop here. Verse number 69. Any questions? All right. So then I will ask questions. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the meaning of sleep in the metaphorical sense? What's the actual meaning of sleep?
Switching off.
Yeah,
Switching off the system.
Yeah, switching off. Stop paying too much attention. Just take it as some background sound or something that's coming. Don't worry too much. If it is not connected with Krishna and not connected with bhakti, we have to be careful. There's something connected with how to protect ourselves in coronavirus time. Then that concerns our safety. So we hear. I'm talking about something which just gossip about film stars or cricket stars or politics or something. It doesn't matter to us. You can switch off. Just switch off. Switch off. So what's this mean? What's the meaning of staying awake? What does that mean?
Being attentive to important things.
Everything what
Like
Krishna
which is
is saying.
Yes, being attentive, being careful, hear carefully, hear fully, hear with faith. So that's the meaning of staying awake. Now, there is the word used, introspective. What does that word mean?
Thinking,
Analyze.
analyzing,
Yes.
Self-examining.
Pardon me?
Self-examining.
Yes, correct. Analyzing, thinking, self-examining. But we don't do it independently. We always do that with the help of Krishna's instructions, with the help of the words of the Gita, with the help of Guru, with the help of the devotees of the Lord. We don't do independently. Because if we do independent of Krishna's instructions, the chances are that our mind will dictate what type of decisions we have to make. So we don't do that. We don't take the risk. We always go according to the instructions of Krishna. According to the instructions of Krishna. So what should be our stance? If there is some place where there's discussion about Krishna's instructions and how that can save us from misery, karma, sinful reactions, how should we go? How should we approach that opportunity?
We should be awake and attentive.
Yes,
awaken and follow the Krishna's rules.
Yes, we should be.
So we should be attentive
and alert.
our mind and then
We
do
should
deep
avoid all of the
introspection.
materialistic miseries and concentrating more on transcendental culture of serving Lord.
Yes, very good. The transcendental culture of serving the Lord. So we should be alert. We should hear. We can probably take notes. We hear attentively. We have gratitude also to the person who's revealing, person who's instructing us the words of Krishna. We should have some gratitude also. Here is this person coming here on behalf of Krishna to help me make the right choices in my life. To decide based on Krishna's instructions is, practically speaking, that is helping you to make the right choices in life. Helping you to make the right decisions and choices in life. So we should be grateful to Krishna. Grateful to Krishna and Krishna's representative. Now I said something. Many years back, many yugas back, when Krishna first spoke to Arjuna, maybe we were there. Definitely we were living in some form or other. Because we are always been there since the beginning of material creation. But maybe at that point of time, we didn't take Krishna's instructions seriously. So what's happened now in our life? Because we didn't take the instructions seriously, what's happening now? I said
now
something.
We are facing karmas.
Yes, we are facing karma. Correct. Then what's happening?
Taking rebirth again and again.
Yes, correct. We are being born again. Then
the Gita is spoken again.
The same instruction that Krishna gave to Arjuna has come back into our lap, come back into our life once more. And this time, Krishna is hoping that we will take it seriously. We will hear attentively and apply these teachings in our life. Okay? Thank you very much. We will close for today. I think we're just closing. We'll close for today. We'll meet again next week and we'll see if we can complete this chapter. I want to thank all of you who have participated in today's class. And my deepest gratitude to all of you. We will pray for all of you and your continued safety and protection. All of you should try during the next 1 month or so, because it seems that the coronavirus situation is completely going out of control, to increase your rounds, be more careful, more cautious, and chant more rounds for your protection and protection of all the devotees. Is that okay?
Yes, good.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So I just want to spend the next few minutes. Is there some feedback? Was it too fast, the session? Was it too slow? Were you all able to understand the main concepts?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very well.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes.
Yes,
So
Prabhuji.
next time when we meet, we can continue in the same speed and in the same style.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I believe that all of you are chanting in the next few days. Kindly increase your round. At least one round you can add, praying for the protection of all the devotees. Will you do that?
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Shri Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Surya Vidhan
Ki jai.
Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai.
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 Kripa Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 करून दे. पण आता हेच येणार आहे पुढच्या आठवड्यात पण मग